The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the journal.
In Senate, Monday, January 13, 2020, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Sunday, January 12, 2020, was read and approved. On motion, Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions. Messages from the Assembly. The Secretary will read.
Senator May moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 8214B, substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6185B, third reading calendar 74.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Metzger moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 712A, is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6186B, third reading calendar 75.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Gorin moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9058, is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6187C, third reading calendar 76.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Gorin moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 8172B, is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6188B, third reading calendar 77.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Kaplan moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 1316C, is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6189C, third reading calendar 78.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Kennedy moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9057, is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6191C, third reading calendar 79.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Kennedy moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 8474A, is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6192A, third reading calendar 80.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Kennedy moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9056, is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6193C, third reading calendar 81.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Sanders moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 9059, is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6604B, third reading calendar 82.
Substitution so ordered.
Senator Hoylman moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 8990, is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7134, third reading calendar 83.
Substitution so ordered. Messages from the Governor. Reports of standing committees. Reports of select committees. Communications and reports from state officers. Motions and resolutions. Senator Janaris.
Mr. President, I move to adopt the resolution calendar with the exception of Resolution 2267, please.
All in favor of adopting the resolution calendar with the exception of Resolutions 2267, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The resolution calendar is adopted. Senator Janaris.
Can you please recognize Senator Kaminsky for an introduction?
Senator Kaminsky for an introduction.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the privilege today to introduce to you and to the Senate body a very important organization doing work by a very special family. Here today to recognize the O'Shea family. Last year, they suffered the unimaginable loss of their son, Ryan Patrick, who took his own life. But instead of cursing the darkness, they've lit a candle, and in his name have started a foundation that has done tremendous work to raise awareness of mental health and to begin an important conversation about suicide, about how families should talk about it, recognize it, and take mental health out of the stigma out of which it's associated. In their community of Rockville Center, they are leaders. And it is no surprise that their son, Ryan Patrick, was a leader, star basketball and track player, loved by everyone. But he suffered, unimaginably so. And their work, in his honor, in his name, has already changed a community. It will continue to change other communities. And their work will continue to go on with our support because it must, because we must take this conversation out of the shadows and bring it into the light. And today it is important that we all recognize the work they're doing and in our own capacities carry it forward as we must. Thank you for your leadership. Your sacrifice will always be recognized by us. but together we could work so that it is not in vain and that so other families will get the benefit of so much of your heart and goodness. We are with you. We will stand together with you, and on behalf of Assemblywoman Judy Griffin, who's here, together there is much more work to do. Thank you so much. Mr. President, please welcome them to the Senate.
To our guests from the O'Shea family, I welcome you on behalf of the Senate. We extend to you all of the courtesies and privileges of this House. Please rise and be recognized. Senator Janaris.
Can I take up the reading of the calendar, please?
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 74, Assembly number 8214B by Assemblymember Santa Barbara. An act to amend the transportation law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect 1 year after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Janaris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Senator Kennedy to explain his vote.
Mr. President, I'd like to start by acknowledging the 24 people we lost in the limousine crashes in Schoharie last October 2018 and in Cutchogue in 2015. I'd like to request that my colleagues please stand and join me as we have a moment of silence for those that were lost. Thank you, Mr. President. Many of their families have joined us here today, are right here in the gallery. I'd like to recognize those that are with us. We have Linda King, who lost her 4 daughters, Amy, Allison, Abigail, and Mary, and 3 sons-in-law. Bethany Nacco, Linda's daughter-in-law. Jameson Ott Carpenter, the best friend of the 4 King daughters. Janet Steenberg, who lost her sons, Richard and Axel, and Richard's wife, Kim Steenberg. Lynn Sepravivo, who lost her daughter, Erin. Sheila McGarvey, who lost her son, Shane. Jill Richardson Perez, who lost her son, Matthew. Donna Rivenberg, who lost her daughter, Amanda. Mindy Grabina, who lost her daughter, Amy. And finally, we have Kevin, Sue, and Hannah Cushing, who lost Patrick, who is one of our own, part of our Senate family, working right here in the IT department in the Senate. Thank you for joining us here today. All of these families have channeled their grief into advocacy, and today we are passing legislation to ensure that no other family has to experience the heartbreak that they've experienced. Today, the Senate passes 10 monumental reforms designed to ensure the safety of all New Yorkers when they choose to ride in a limo or a for-hire vehicle. The reforms we're passing today will undoubtedly strengthen safety standards here in New York, from requiring stretch limousines to be retrofitted with seatbelts, to mandating commercial driver's licenses and drug and alcohol testing for drivers of vehicles with 9 or more passengers, to increasing criminal penalties for drivers who break the law while on the road. We're taking significant steps to ensure safety measures are firmly in place when anyone steps into one of these vehicles. These pieces of legislation before us make critical changes, including mandated that an impounded vehicle must be repaired and must be re-inspected before it is released to the road. Today, we're creating the strongest limousine safety standards in the entire nation, right here in the state of New York. While we're advancing an aggressive agenda, we also know that there's always more work to do. which is why we're also creating a task force that will further examine current limo regulations and safety training programs. Thank you to our incredible Majority Leader, Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins, for making this a priority. Without her leadership, we would not be here today. And we would not be seeing so many progressive reforms making their way to the Senate floor so expeditiously this session. I'd like to thank our colleagues in the Assembly for doing the right thing, working with our conference to enact legislation that complements what we put forward here in the Senate, and also for the governor for signaling his partnership and commitment to signing these pieces of legislation into law. I want to thank my colleagues for joining me and all of us in casting an aye vote on this historic day here in this chamber. I hope it brings the families a bit of closure, that your loved ones did not die in vain, but that their legacy will carry on and will no doubtedly save lives here in the state of New York. And there's no question in my mind, act as a model for the rest of the nation to follow suit. Thank you for your fortitude, your commitment, for championing this effort, for taking that heartache and that difficult, heartbreaking situation and turning it into positive advocacy and ultimately action here on the Senate floor today. You are all to be commended. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. With that, Mr. President, I vote aye.
Senator Kennedy to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Seward to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. When individuals enter a limousine or a similar vehicle, there is an expectation of safety. But sadly and very tragically, on October 6, 2018, that expectation was not met. 20 people were killed in Schoharie County, in the heart of my Senate district, in a horrific limousine crash that literally made global headlines. You know, following the crash, I spent time meeting with family members of the victims, the emergency responders who were called to the scene that day, most of which were from volunteer units. And I also met with investigators who were tasked with determining what happened and making some sense of what had occurred. The consensus from all was that we need to, number one, better enforce our current laws and regulations, and number two, make meaningful revisions to our laws and regulations to truly improve limousine safety on our highways in New York State. These bills that we are passing today are a direct result of the courageous input from the people who have experienced unimaginable grief and pain, and that is the families of our victims. You know, I have such deep admiration and respect for the family members who have continued to keep the memory of their loved ones alive and have turned this grief and tragedy in their lives into something positive, and that is meaningful changes in the laws of the state of New York that govern limousines. You have gone above and beyond to ensure that other families won't have to go through the same heartbreak that you continue to experience. These bills that we're passing today are a testament to your determination, and they will make our highways safer and limousine ridership safer in New York State. Mr. President, I vote aye.
Senator Seward to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Little to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is such a tragedy, and I think when we all saw this in the paper and read the reports of this, everyone's heart ached for all of you. And we all, I'm sure, have experienced riding in a limousine or watching your kids go off to proms or weddings, and they're all such happy, happy occasions. And you know that everyone in that limousine were enjoying a happy occasion. And to have such a tragedy occur just had to break your hearts, but it just breaks everyone's heart here when you think about it could have been any of us, it could have been anyone. And so what we're doing here today, I commend all of the senators here voting yes on this, because we are making a change. And as Senator Seward said, seeing that our current laws are enforced, but that we have new, stricter laws, and somehow can prevent something like this from ever happening. We have families who have their roots, the King family have roots in the North Country, and my deepest sympathy, not just to them, but to all of you. I vote aye.
Senator Little to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Laval to explain his vote.
Thank you. There is very little that one could say because we can't bring back daughters who were very vibrant, and I represent the 1st Senate District, the North Fork, and I go by that place where the limo accident occurred. And I must tell you, I think about it almost every single time I go by that spot. But something good has come out of it. And we will be helping individuals in the future be safer, and that is a good thing. So know that the deaths did not go for naught, but we're bringing about changes that will save lives, and you are part of that. You are part of what is taking place here today. I vote in the affirmative.
Senator Laval to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 75, Assembly number 712A by Assemblymember Parlin, an act to amend the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3 of this act shall take effect 1 year after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Senator Metzger to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. To the families, I want to express my gratitude for your leadership, your courage, your incredible advocacy. The work we're doing today is really your work. I do also want to thank our chair of our Transportation Committee for bringing this to fruition at this time. It's so important. There's a saying in the traffic safety advocacy world that most crashes are predictable and preventable. We call them accidents, but many are not accidental. They are the result of risky and often illegal driving behaviors. As part of this package, we are passing a law that I introduced to mandate drug and alcohol testing for limo drivers and other for-hire drivers. This will help save lives, along with all of the other legislative initiatives we passed today. It is our duty as legislators to do everything that we can to prevent these kinds of horrible tragedies. To all of you who have suffered imaginable losses, our hearts are with you. Thank you.
Senator Metzger to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 76, Assembly number 9058 by Assemblymember Santa Barbara, an act to amend the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3 of this act shall take effect 30 days after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Flanagan, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 77, Assembly number 8172B by Assemblymember Santa Barbara, an act to amend the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect 1 year after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Senator Gorin to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to thank Senator Kennedy for his leadership in this, and Senator, you actually helped teach me how legislation really works in the state capitol by working very closely with all the families, with colleagues across the aisle to make sure that we got this done right. And I want to thank you, but I really want to thank especially the families, some of whom are here today and some of whom are not. The families, the upstate families from the horrible Schoharie incident. Mindy Grabina, I know, spoke earlier today on behalf of the Long Island families so eloquently. And I also want to thank others, including Nancy DeMonte, who is not here and whose daughter is alive, but has faced many challenges because of that horrific day. And, you know, when the families came to my office, and also when I went to the hearing here in Albany and listened to their testimony, their testimony was so powerful. But what was also so powerful was a simple picture of these beautiful young women just before they got into that limousine. And it struck me because I have a daughter who is 28 years old, and we have pictures like that. So thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for making this day happen. And while this is probably not going to solve this problem completely, there will probably, unfortunately, be other tragedies. I guarantee you this bill and all of these bills will be saving some lives. So thank you so much, and I vote in the affirmative, Mr. President.
Senator Gorin to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 78, Assembly number 1316C by Assemblymember Paulin, an act to establish a stretch limousine passengers safety task force.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 30th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Senator Kaplan to explain her vote.
For too long, New Yorkers took safety for granted when getting into a limousine. We wrongly assumed that these vehicles were safe and that their operators were all trained in their safe operation. But I think we all got a rude awakening with the unimaginable tragedies that have taken place in the last few years. No family should have to experience the loss of a loved one because of something that could have possibly been prevented. So that's why we're taking action to reform limousine safety in New York. Because we have a duty to families across the state to do everything we can to prevent this senseless tragedy from happening again. And we owe all of that to you. It must be a very difficult day for you, but I hope that it's also a way for you to have closure and to feel that we understand what you're going through and we are working with you and we stand beside you. That is why I'm so proud to be sponsor of this legislation that will help protect our residents, and I cast my vote in the affirmative, and I want to thank our chairperson, Senator Kennedy, for shepherding this through. Thank you.
Senator Kaplan to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 79, Assembly number 9057 by Assemblymember Paulin, an act to amend the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 6, this act shall take effect January 1st, 2021.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 80, Assembly number 8474A by Assemblymember Santa Barbara, an act to amend the Transportation Law and the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this act shall take effect 1 year after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 81, Assembly number 9056 by Assemblymember Magnarelli, an act to amend the Transportation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act will take effect 1 year after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 82, Assembly number 9059 by Assemblymember Santa Barbara, act to amend the Vehicle and Traffic Law and the Transportation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this act will take effect on the 180th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 83, Assembly number 8990 by Assemblymember Magnarelli, an act to amend the vehicle and traffic law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act will take effect on the 1st of November.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Senator Hoylman to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too want to rise and thank Senator Kennedy for his leadership on this rather solemn day where we are taking much-needed steps to improve limousine safety, as well as taxi cab and livery safety. In my district, where there is an emergency room at NYU Langone, emergency room doctors tell me that they'll often see individuals come in with split lips, broken noses, and cracked teeth. In fact, the physicians in the ER department see it so often, they call it partition face. And partition face is when a passenger is sitting in the back seat of a taxi cab, unbuckled, the cab makes a sudden stop, and they are flung headfirst into the plastic partition that's meant to protect the drivers. It's very dangerous. Well, today we're finally taking steps here in the state of New York to require that everyone who rides in the back seat of a cab or livery, 8 years or older, buckles up. We know that wearing seatbelts saves lives. Well, seatbelt laws also save lives, Mr. President. I'm proud that we're taking this step, and again, wanted to commend Senator Kennedy for his leadership, along with our colleagues on this important day. I vote aye.
Senator Hoylman to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results. Ooh, sorry.
Aye.
Sorry. Senator Tedisco to explain his vote.
Yeah, just to explain my vote on this and the other seatbelt laws. First of all, let me thank all the families for their input on this. I think I was at the first hearing here in Albany, and it was very important to get your research and input, and thank the Senator for sponsoring that. I'm proud to be sponsor of several of these bills. Just one caveat in the future. I know we have a task force that we're going to put out there to give us future input on what we could do to be safer in these large vehicles, these limousines. It's good that we're going to require and mandate having seat belts in the back of these limousines and in the back of the liveries that we just talked about. And the fact of the matter is it's very difficult to give a limousine driver the responsibility to make sure individuals keep those seat belts on. But I think what we could add to this piece of legislation to require having those seat belts and buckling them up is a requirement of the individual that drives these limousine vehicles or part of these limousine companies. As they open up the doors and the individuals go in and sit down, that limousine driver be required and mandated to tell everyone who is seated there who they will be driving and responsible for in terms of driving the vehicle. No matter what the signs are, the law in New York State says there must be seat belts here, and you must have those seat belts on and attached. And he will not put the key into the ignition and turn it until he sees all of them in their seats with the seat belt attached. Because there's a good chance, if everyone's required before he starts that vehicle and drives, having their seat belt attached, being notified this is the law, that they'll keep that seat belt on. Because we know the dangers of everybody if 1, 2, or 3 people take those seat belts off. It not only impacts them, it impacts everybody else in that vehicle. So I don't think it's a lot to ask the person who's driving, no matter how many people are in it, 5, 10, 15, or 20. This is the law. You have to be buckled. I have to see you all buckled, and I can't put the key in the ignition, start it, and begin to drive you on what should be a wonderful day for you and a good time. I don't think that's a lot to ask of a limousine driver, and I think it's a good chance that people will keep those seatbelts on if we start them out notifying them of the law and the requirement that it doesn't move. This vehicle doesn't move until you're all attached and I see that, and then he puts the key in and drives. So I would just suggest we think about that and look at that. I don't think that's a lot to ask of someone who's driving people that are most precious to us. Thank you. I vote aye.
Senator Tedisco to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed. Senator Janoris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can we now return to motions and resolutions and take up Resolution 2267 by Senator Akshar? Read its title only and recognize Senator Akshar.
The Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 2267 by Senator Akshar, memorializing Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim January 6 through 12, 2020 as Law Enforcement Appreciation Week in the state of New York.
Senator Akshar on the resolution.
Mr. President, thank you very much for your indulgence. Allow me to thank the Majority Leader and the Floor Leader for allowing this resolution to the floor. I appreciate it very much. Many of you know that before elected, I had the good fortune of being a member of law enforcement. I spent many good years with the Broome County Sheriff's Office. So today, by way of this resolution, I simply want to say thank you to the more than 850,000 men and women who wear the uniform across this great state and across this great nation. Being a member of law enforcement, it's a thankless job, very long hours, it's challenging work, but I also know, and I think it's incredibly important for me to remind everybody that law enforcement members care about their community. And underneath their uniform, they're real people with a heart, and they protect the communities that they love. They are on the streets every day, doing what they love, ensuring that their communities are safe. But there is also an undeniable fact that the men and women of law enforcement are under attack, and their job is getting more difficult. It's becoming more dangerous every single day. And despite all of that, the men and women who wear the uniform, they remain committed to doing their job, to keeping our communities safe. And because of that, they deserve our respect and they deserve our gratitude. And quite honestly, that's what this resolution is all about. It's about allowing all of us to take a moment to think about the selfless sacrifices that these men and women make and give them a sincere thank you. Mr. President, I thank you for your indulgence.
The question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Senator Janaris.
Mr. President, is there any further business at the desk?
There's no further business at the desk.
I move to adjourn until tomorrow, Wednesday, January 15th at 11 a.m.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Wednesday, January 15th at 11 a.m.